What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the next episode of the BeamCast, episode 7, I want to say. I don't know, but welcome back to the next episode. We have 4 topics for this one, and yeah, it's another solo episode, so let's get into it. The very first one will probably be the one that takes the longest. We have my updated NCAA football, American football, top 25. We're about a little over halfway through the season. Every team has about 4 to 3 more games left on their schedule. And yeah, I'm hyped, man. The football season's been amazing. As you guys know, I'm a Michigan fan, and obviously there's a whole controversy with, Michigan and shit, but we'll see what happens with that. If you want my opinions on that, I think the rule is bogus. I think it's a stupid rule. But at the same time, rules are rules. You can think a rule is stupid, but it's still a rule. You still have to follow it. And if we broke rules, we get a consequence for it, right? So that is my opinion on the whole Michigan investigation. I hope we've proven innocent, and honestly, I'm not really worried about the NCAA because it'll take them a couple years to punish the program anyways if they're found guilty. I'm worried about the Big Ten because if the Big Ten punishes us, then that could ruin our playoff chances because they could be like, oh, because of everything that's alleged against you guys, you can't play in the Big Ten championship game. Or the worst thing they could do is say you're banned from bowl games, right? So I'm just hoping the Big Ten waits till there's a verdict on it, but we will see. Again, I think it's a stupid rule. It's a rule that needs changed, but if we broke the rules, we broke the rules. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. All I know is Ohio State fans are, crying a lot because they stole our shines. It has nothing to do with your defense being baby lotion soft as fuck and your coach, right? But yeah, so fuck Ohio State. And Ohio State fans are delusional. Michigan owns you. Cry about it. All right. Anyways, let's get into the top 25. And I'll try to give good reasoning for, 25 through 11. And then once we get to the top 10, I'll probably spend a little bit more time on those. And again, we're gonna go from bottom to the top. So we're gonna go from 25 to 1. All right. And this is my personal top 25. And the way I do my top 25 is if you know who Uncle Lou is, it's like him, right? It's where I think you deserve to be versus where I think you should be. And you take a lot of things into consideration, mainly your record, the wins you have, how you've looked throughout the season. Did you struggle against any particular team? Like record, who you won against, quality wins, how have you looked in your games, stuff like that, right? And for this week, and I will post this episode today because it is Friday and tomorrow is Saturday, so I'll have to post this one today. So for this week, my rankings go as number 25, Rutgers. Guys, Rutgers is 6-2. When's the last time Rutgers won 6 games in a season? That is insane. Now, they have their tough games coming up. They got Ohio State, Maryland, and Penn State, and I think one other team. Here, let me pull up Rutgers' schedule. Rutgers Scarlet Knights schedule. They got Ohio State, Iowa, Penn State, and Maryland left. And honestly, Rutgers can win 2 of those 4 games. Rutgers can finish 8-4 on the season. Think about that. That is insane to think about. Rutgers could beat Maryland. They have them at home. Rutgers has to go on the road at Iowa, but Iowa has no sort of offense, but Iowa has a suffocating defense. And then Ohio State and Penn State, that's for sure losses. I don't think Rutgers wins those games. If they do, that'll be insane, though. But Rutgers very well could finish 8-4 on the season. That is props to Rutgers, man. So for now I have them ranked, but obviously they probably won't stay ranked for long. But still, Rutgers, they're going bowling. I'm proud of them. Proud of you, Rutgers. Number 24, this is where I landed with Tennessee. If you don't know, Tennessee and Alabama had a game the past weekend, and Tennessee lost. Tennessee was winning at halftime and then allowed 27 points in the second half and scored 0 points in the second half and lost the game. I know the refs were pretty bad in that game, but refs just suck at their job, and you don't lose a game because of the refs when you get outscored 27-0 in the second half. You were leading 20-7 at halftime. You lost 34-20. Just do better, all right? I was debating on having Tennessee be unranked entirely, but I decided they should stay ranked, and kind of spoiler, Southern Cal would be the one that I unranked. Number 23, this is where I landed with UCLA. They're a pretty good team, and I expected them to be good, but they're not like insanely impressive thus far. You know what I'm saying? So 23 is where I landed with them. I mean, you know, they beat Washington State, which is probably their best win of the season so far. But, you know, they lost to Utah 14-7. They lost to Oregon State 36-24. You know, so like, and you know, they have Southern Cal coming up near the end of the year, but you know, I look at what UCLA has done, and I'm like, they're good enough to be ranked, but you know, they don't have that top tier marquee win, you know. And I think that opportunity for that passed because they didn't beat Oregon State, and I doubt Southern Cal is going to be ranked highly when they play each other. So 23 is where I landed with the Rutgers. They're a solid, nice, well-rounded team. 22 is where I have Tulane. Tulane only has the one loss to Ole Miss. They're a great group of 5 team. As we all know, they beat Southern Cal last year in the bowl game, but I'm not using that for these rankings because we're far enough into the season that last season doesn't matter. So for this, it's simply they're 6-1. They fight tough. They fight strong. They fight well. And they only have the one loss, and it was a 17-point loss to a pretty solid Ole Miss team that's still in the runnings to win the SEC West, albeit very slim. So Tulane's a strong team. Tulane could be back-to-back conference champs in the American. Number 21 is where I landed with James Madison. James Madison was an FCS team until last year. Last year was their first year in the FBS, which is the highest form of football that you can play in college. And they were good last year. They went like 8-5 last year, but they couldn't play in a bowl game because you have to win at least 6 games to be in a bowl game. So why couldn't they play in a bowl game if they went 8-5 or whatever, right? Well, when you go from FCS to FBS, you get like a 2-year bowl suspension or whatever, right? Which I think it's stupid, right? And it's just because like the transferring shit, but I think that's stupid. I think if you are good enough to play in a bowl game, you should be able to play in a bowl game, right? James Madison is 7-0 and very well could finish the season 12-0, 13-0 as conference champs, and they won't get to play in a bowl game. And that's so sad. But that's not going to stop me from ranking them. I got them ranked at number 21. Number 20, this is where I landed with North Carolina. North Carolina was in my top 10 last week, and they lost to one of the worst teams in the country, which is Virginia. Virginia is a bottom feeder in the world of college football, and it's insane. And North Carolina lost to him 31-27. It's inexcusable. Inexcusable. So I dropped him down 10 spots to 20. Number 19 is where I landed with Duke. They had a good game against Florida State. In fact, they were leading Florida State at halftime, but the game got away from them. I hope their quarterback is okay because he re-aggravated the injury that he just got back from. The Duke-North Carolina game should be a good one, but 19 is where I landed with Duke. 18 is where I landed with Air Force. Air Force is probably the best group of 5 team in college football right now and will probably be on their way to a New Year's Six Bowl. And if shit gets really wild, they could possibly make the playoffs. We're looking at a potential undefeated season for Air Force, as they already had their big game past them, which was Wyoming, which was ranked during that game. Their next games are Colorado State, that should be a win. Army, that should be a win. Hawaii, now that one's at Hawaii, so that one can be a bit tricky, but that one's a win. UNLV, that should be a win. And then after that, you got Boise State, which Boise State, of course, is a good team. They have great home field advantage, but again, like Air Force is looking like they should win the rest of their games, go 12-0, 13-0, conference champs. It's going to be interesting. Their toughest game left is UNLV or Boise State. Now, Boise State's 3-4, and UNLV is only 6-1. UNLV's only loss coming to Michigan, but UNLV is at home. I'm pretty sure. Let me look. Pretty sure UNLV is at home for Air Force. Yeah, Air Force is home for UNLV while they're on the road at Boise State, and then Hawaii, while is bad, 2-6. Hawaii is on the road. So we'll see. But Air Force is probably looking at a New Year's Six game. 17 is where I landed with Louisville. Louisville is the other team in contention for the ACC right now. It's between them and Florida State at this point. So 17 is where I landed with Louisville. Solid team, nothing really more. 16, Notre Dame. Notre Dame has looked pretty solid overall. They got a good win against Southern Cal. They looked good against Ohio State. But they also have an inexplicable. They looked good against Ohio State, but lost that game. And then they have a loss to Louisville, and they got a solid win against Duke. So pretty middle of the road team, top 15-ish type team, but to me, they're number 16 at the moment. Number 15, Missouri. Missouri is probably Georgia's biggest threat on their schedule. They only have the one loss to LSU, and they look good. They really do look good, but that one's at Georgia, so Missouri is probably the second best team in the SEC East. LSU is 14. They have the win against Missouri. LSU has looked good and can beat Bama. We'll see what happens. Not this weekend, but next week. But they have a horrible defense, garbage defense. They lost to Ole Miss. They lost to Florida State. So LSU 14 is where I landed with LSU, and now LSU still again can win the West, and whoever wins the Bama LSU game probably wins the West, right? But speaking of Ole Miss is where I have 13 is where I got Ole Miss. Because Ole Miss has the one loss, I think, to Alabama. And what Ole Miss needs to do to win the SEC West is they need Bama to lose against LSU, Kentucky, and Auburn, right? And then they need to win out. So Ole Miss needs to win the rest of their games, and so if Ole Miss wins the rest of their games and LSU loses 2 SEC games, Ole Miss goes to the conference championship. But if Ole Miss loses to Georgia, which is what will happen, they need Alabama to lose to LSU, Kentucky, and Auburn to make the conference championship. So Ole Miss is like a sneaky team. I only have them ranked ahead of LSU because even though LSU has a better shot at making the conference championship than Ole Miss has beaten LSU head to head. Number 12 is where I got Utah. Utah with a good win against Southern Cal last week. Southern Cal, Iowa and Southern Cal are like the exact opposite, right? Iowa suffocating top tier national contender defense, right? They would be competing for national titles because of that, with that defense, as long as they had a better offense. But no, their offense is piss poor baby lotion dick, right? Southern Cal, top tier offense, one of the best in the country, amazing national title contending offense, right? But they're not national title contenders because they got baby lotion soft dick defense, bro. Okay? So, just give Southern Cal's offense to Iowa or Iowa's defense to Southern Cal, and then boom, you probably got the best team in the nation. But Utah with a good win over Southern Cal. Cam Rising, of course, is taking a medical redshirt year. Utah will probably drop in the rankings, but they're still technically in contention for the Pac-12 title with only one loss. So we will see what happens with Utah. But Utah right now, I got at 12. 11 is where I have Oregon State. Oregon State's a pretty good team. They have I think the one loss to Washington State, I want to say. Let me check. Yeah, they have the one loss, 3-point loss to Washington State. Oregon State, if they win the rest of their games, would probably become Pac-12 champions. They win the rest of their games, they're in the Pac-12 championship, and they have a brutal final 2-game stretch, being Washington and Oregon, which is probably who will be in the Pac-12 championship game, Washington versus Oregon. But we will see. But Oregon State, that they're a fringe like playoff contender. Number 10 is where I land with Penn State. Their offense looked horrible against Ohio State. Ohio State's offense looked also pretty bad against Penn State's, but Ohio State's offense has looked bad throughout the year, while Penn State's offense looked solid enough. It was really a defensive game, close game, but Penn State I dropped to 10 for the loss. Still a great team. Number 9 is where I got Alabama. Alabama was outside my top 10 for the longest after that Texas loss. However, that win against Tennessee puts them into the top 10 for me. Just barely, though. I'm going to be real with you. I'm expecting Bama to drop another game before the SEC championship game. But if they do go undefeated, then they're losing in the SEC championship game. Bama's not making the playoffs. Number 8 is where I have Oregon. Oregon's a good team. They have that heart-wrenching loss to Washington. And here's the thing. Oregon didn't lose that game against Washington. Oregon's coach, Dan Lanning, lost that game against Washington. Oregon's a great team. Number 8. Number 7, you got Texas. Texas has that loss against Oklahoma, but looks great. Still a mad playoff contender. And, as long as they meet Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship, they'll probably, and if they win that game, they'll seal their spot. Same thing for Oklahoma, which is at number 6. Oklahoma is undefeated, beat Texas, and if they meet Texas in the Big 12 championship game and go undefeated, 13-0, they will be in the playoffs. Number 5 is where I land with Florida State. Not because Florida State did anything bad, because they were at number 4 for me last week. They didn't drop because they did anything bad per se, but it was more because rewarding Ohio State with the victory they got, so Florida State dropped down to 5. Washington, number 4. Washington was my number 2 team last week. Then they went out and beat Arizona State, which is on the level of Virginia bad, and beat them 15-7. Washington didn't have a single offensive touchdown the entire game. They won the game 15-7 because they had a few field goals and a pick 6. It's good that their defense can keep them in games like that, but that was a horrible looking win for Washington. Good, they got a win, but they looked horrible doing it, dropped them to 4. Number 3 is where I land with Ohio State. They got a good win against Penn State. Outside of that, though, they have not really impressed me. They do have the win against Notre Dame, sure, but Notre Dame's an all-right team. They're not world beaters. So Ohio State, number 3. Number 2, this is where I got Georgia. Georgia, they got the back-to-back national titles, but we're ignoring last season. They've looked dominant at times, beating Kentucky and stuff like that, but they don't look like the clear best team in the nation. They only beat Vandy by 17 points. Now they look dominant in that game, but still, it is Vandy. You know what I mean? Two, you struggled against South Carolina. You struggled against Auburn. So they just don't look like the clear number one team like they did last year. And number one, this is where I got Michigan. Not because I'm biased. I am a Michigan fan, but not because I'm biased. I can look at football critically and be like, okay, this, and this. Michigan, week in, week out, has smacked every opponent they have played. Now, I get the argument of they haven't played nobody. But the problem is, you play who's in front of you, right? These schedules are made like 10, 15 years in advance, which is stupid in itself, right? That's how you the way that fix college football scheduling for these big games is you only go as far as 5 years. You should not be going 10, 15 years in advance. These schedules are made like 10, 15 years in advance. You played the teams in front of you, right? And then it's not Michigan's fault that a lot of their conference isn't as good as some of them used to be, right? It's not their fault that Michigan State had one good year, you know what I mean, out of the last God knows when, right? So Michigan, I have number one because they have not struggled at all this season. They've smacked everyone, and now a lot of people are like, oh, but they've been cheating. We don't know yet. It's all alleged. We will see, right? And then two, Michigan, again, like they and then on top of that, Michigan was supposed to play UCLA this year, but due to realignment, that game had to get canceled because UCLA is coming to the Big Ten, right? So it's not their fault. They had a non-con Power 5 team on their schedule, and it got wiped because, realignment. So, yeah, they played the games in front of them, and they have looked the most dominant. They got arguably the best defense in the entire country, a great offense, So Michigan right now is my number one team in the NCAA college American football. So, yeah, that is what I have to say about my NCAA rankings. Let me know what y'all think. But, on to the next topic. I haven't been posting a lot of content as of recently. Today, I'm able to record this podcast, get it up, and hopefully record a couple of shorts. And then maybe I'll see if I can record a regular YouTube video. But that's because I've been looking for a job, and I got a job. A couple days ago was orientation. Yesterday was like my first day outside of orientation. So I got a job. I'm about to start making some money. Can reinvest in my YouTube and my music and stuff like that. So, yeah, I know it sucks because I'm not able to do as much as I want to, and I'm trying to keep it to like at least a live stream, short or regular video, a week, and I'm trying. I know I haven't been keeping to it, but I'm trying, I promise. But, I'm 18, I graduated high school with honors, I got a job, responsibilities. There are responsibilities. It's not like I'm making money from YouTube or anything. So I got to follow these responsibilities, and I'll continue the grind, continue trying to grow, because this is my passion after all. But I got a job, and hopefully that will allow me to do some cool things and maybe pay artists for thumbnails and stuff like that, right? But yeah, I got a job. Keep that in mind. Right now it's part-time. Things can get a bit worse. Once I can get to like full-time, but still, again, got a job, responsibilities, and stuff like that. The homie JonSync got a job as well. And if you're wondering where he had been for a couple months, he actually he had lost his job and then got back into YouTube because of that, right? And because I helped kind of push him to it. And then his PC decided to melt down, but he got a new job and he got all the parts. His PC's fixed, so he's been posting shorts. Go show him some love. He's in the link in the description, right? Hopefully me and him can do maybe a couple of videos or whatever. But, yep, I got a job. We're back on it. We're back on the grind. And, you know, I'm going to start making some money. Let's go. All right. That one's probably a very short topic, but still. The next topic I have is I have a mixtape out right now. As some of you know, I make music. I've already said it in this podcast. And it goes on to a second channel called Maskman. That's my stage name for music, right? And it's mostly rap orientated. And I dropped a mixtape last month on September 29th. Then I dropped the deluxe for it October 13th, 2 weeks ago. And I'm not about to try to like complain or anything. In fact, this is me just trying to push it some more. But this mixtape, performance-wise, has done god-awful. You know, I've my projects have done pretty well this year. Like, my album, multiple songs have over 100 views. And if they don't have over 100 views, they at least have over 40. Most of them are like 50 plus, right? My 18 EP, few songs with 50, 40, 60 views, right? And I know that's not amazing in like the grand scheme of things, but it's good for my size because I only have like 160 subscribers on my music channel. My EP with a weird name, it's a plus sign, a minus sign, and like a the fucking, I'm gonna call it a multiplication sign, but I don't care, right? That one did all right. 2 songs with over 50 views, and the other 2 have over 20. This mixtape has done garbage. It's done garbage. Most of the songs are under 20 views, and that includes the deluxe. The singles did well, right? The Manifest Freestyle, 30 views. The song Turnt featuring my homie FTR, over 100 views. And then I'm Fine with Withering Away, which I'm going to announce now that one should get a music video as long as my homie Chaos gets that edited in time. But that one should have a music video. And that one has over 20 views. But most of them have less than 20 views, and some of them even have less than 10 views. I've been pushing it the normal way that I promote. And it has not done well. Now, I don't know why that is. People just don't care. Stuff like that. And this is fine, right? I make music for me first. Again, I'm not trying to complain. But I would appreciate if y'all go check it out and run up these numbers. Y'all feel what I'm saying, right? Because, I would like it to do well, right? I don't care that, I care, but then I don't care. Like, I want it to do well, but at the same time, if it doesn't do well, if this me trying to push it and promote it right here doesn't work, then I'm fine. I'm chilling. It doesn't really matter. Why is that the case? Because ultimately, I make the music for me. It's my safe space. It's where I go to vent. I make really depressing music. I don't put down my YouTube channel because my YouTube channel is meant to, entertain and kind of get away from all of that. Music is kind of how I express that to still also kind of get away from it, if that makes sense. So if it doesn't do well, that's fine. Still keep it moving. I'm gonna still make music. But again, I would like it if you guys go try to, push up the numbers. Help, try to make it do well. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, my new mixtape, it's called Behind the Mask Mixtape, Volume 3, Shredded Mask. The base mixtape is 13, and then with the deluxe, it is 18 tracks. It has one interlude, and then the rest are songs, freestyles, remixes, and it's got 4 features in total, including the deluxe, because Turnt features FTR, one of the freestyles features my homie Keyshawn, one of the remixes features my homie NoAux, and then on the deluxe there's another remix, and that features Lilyfit. So go check that out. I would appreciate it. And on top of that, you got my other socials, my Twitter. And I know y'all see the symbol on the middle of your screen. It has the Twitter logo and my handle. I'm not changing it. Fuck you, Elon. I'm not changing it. It's Twitter. It's not X. I'm not changing it. Okay. So, yeah. Twitter, Instagram, my Discord, all that is in the description, including my music YouTube channel, and that's where you'll find my mixtape. Go check it out. Now that all that plugging and shit like that is out the way, we got the last topic. Baseball. Specifically, the MLB. Major League Baseball, the American Pro League for baseball. Today is the first day of the World Series. And want to know what two teams made the World Series? In the American League, you have the motherfucking Texas Rangers. Bro, the Texas Rangers never won a title. They have never won a World Series. And two, they haven't made the World Series since like 2014. I want to say, let me see, 2014 World Series. No, that World Series was between the San Fran Giants and Kansas City Royals. So was it 2013 then? Let me see. 2013 World Series. Nope, that was Red Sox versus Cardinals. 2012. That was Giants Tigers. When was this? 2011 was the last time they made the World Series, because they made it in 2010 and then they made it in 2011 and they lost both times. So they've made the World. So this is their first World Series appearance in like 12 years. And they're kind of seen as just a mediocre team. They went 90-72 in the regular season. They beat the Astros in the ALCS. But yeah, they're the champions of the American League, and they're in the World Series. And it's surprising because the Texas Rangers are seen as one of the more teams. And then in the National League, the NL, you got the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Arizona Diamondbacks went 84-78 in the regular season. Everyone would expect the Braves or the Dodgers, because, the Dodgers, they went 162 in the regular season, and the Braves went 104-58. Nope, the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Arizona Diamondbacks, I don't know when they last made the World Series, but I'm pretty sure it was 2001 when they beat the New York Yankees in the World Series. So the Arizona Diamondbacks actually do have a title. But yeah, we got a very interesting World Series. We got the Texas Rangers versus the Arizona Diamondbacks. Does the Arizona Diamondbacks get a second title, or do the Texas Rangers get their first title? And it's extremely interesting too for me, because last year you had Philadelphia versus Houston, right? The Phillies versus the Houston Astros. And, that's quite far away. This time you got Texas versus Arizona, right? Which those states are a lot closer to each other. So, yeah. It's very interesting. Very polar opposite, kind of, when it comes to the last two World Series. Who do I think is going to win the World Series, though? I know the Rangers are the favorite, I'm pretty sure. And I don't pay attention to enough baseball, so yeah, keep that in mind. But I'm going to take the Diamondbacks. I think it's a crazy Cinderella story, because the MLB recently changed their playoff format, right? And the Arizona Diamondbacks made the playoffs this year, but had they kept their old playoff format from like 3-4 years ago, right? The Diamondbacks wouldn't have made the playoffs. So I'm gonna take the Diamondbacks in the Cinderella story in a amazing 7-game series. And this is a neutral perspective, because again, I'm a casual baseball fan, right? I don't pay attention to it enough. But I am I am a Cubs fan. So, yeah. But I think the World Series is going to be interesting. Give me the Diamondbacks in 7. Um, it surely should be a interesting World Series for sure. Um, so let the games begin, I guess. I don't know what else I should say. But yeah, give me the Diamondbacks in 7. It'll be interesting. It will be a interesting season. Um, well, World Series, I should say. And I find it funny. Baseball ends when like all the others, seasons are starting. Right? Baseball ends halfway through the NFL season. Um, and baseball ends once the NBA and hockey are starting up. So that's kind of just funny to me. But yep, that is everything. It's another shorter podcast episode from your boy. Um, maybe next episode we'll have a guest, but that is everything I got written down. Love college football. Interesting to see how the World Series will play out. I got a job, got a mixtape out. Go check out my mixtape. Link in the description. Go check out all my socials. Link in the description. Go check out John. Link in the description. So, yeah. I don't know what else to really say. So I'll see you guys in the next episode of the BeamCast when it happens. Peace out.